to quote George Carlin to start off my video, I don't think we're there yet. Now, to elaborate on that quote, he was talking about how he's talking when people who are preaching peace and tolerance and equality for everybody end up getting murdered by someone who is so wrapped up in their own shit that they can't actually fathom people being equal because of some projection problem, their own inward feelings that they can't outwardly project at themselves, so they project it to other people and say, that's the reason I can't get a job, that's the reason, blah da fuck da. But I mean, look at the people who have died because they've said, oh, we want some equality up in this bitch. JFK, MLK, fucking just people who, I mean, look at people who have said for peace and things like that. I mean, look at Nelson Mandela. That he was brought up in apartheid South Africa. He was put in jail for something, and he was in there for 20 some years before he got out, and now he's like the leader. He's like the president of South Africa. And I mean, if you look throughout this country's history, though, you see what kind of racist things have been done in the name of this, and this sort of double standards that some people held in creating this country. I mean, think about who came over from England to actually form the United States of America. There were white men who owned black people, and then when they got here and revolted against the King of England, they said all men are created equal. Now I guess they didn't think that black people were people, so that's why I'm sort of thinking that they allowed slavery to happen. I mean, England actually abolished slavery sooner than America. That's not to say that there's not racism in Britain, and there's not. I mean, it took almost 100 some years for us to actually enforce any of the things that Abraham Lincoln said in the Emancipation Proclamation. And even, I mean, even though people were freed from slavery, there were still institutionalized de facto racism and segregation that was going on. I mean, Jim Crow laws, things like this, and people were fighting against that. I mean, and finally in the 1960s and the 70s, people finally have had enough and were protesting, and one of those main people was Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for equal rights, fought for this, and then, like in the 60s, there was that separate but equal Brown versus the Board of Education, where it said that separate but equal wasn't constitutional. I think. I don't know. I'm half asleep. Sue me. But you get my point. It took a while for the institutionalized racism and segregation that had existed for so long in this country to be even put a dent in it. And even to this day, there's still people who have a superiority complex over another race just because of they're white, they're black, they're Hispanic, they're Asian, they're Indian, they're Arab. They have all these white supremacist people who basically say this is a white built country. It was white built by black people. I mean, think about it. This country was basically used as a tobacco supplying nation, and who actually picked the fucking tobacco and cotton that were used to run this country? Black people. I mean, that's basically all that was the workforce. Like that's all that's what the Civil War was over. People in the North were basically like, yo, let the people go. Let's let bygones be bygones. But the fucking the South was basically like, no, we need them to do the work. Even though if they did the work, they could probably undercut a lot of the costs. And But even there's still people now that have commented on my videos and said, "This is a white bill country. If anybody's gonna leave, then it's gonna be not the white people." But if you think about it, these same people say that illegal immigration is wrong. But if you look at the history, we came here, fucked the Native American people out of their land, and fucked them over, and then basically fucked their whole civilization up, nearly wiped them off of the face of the earth. I mean, doesn't that scream fucked upness? Really? Like, nobody's gonna say that's really just fucked up that we did? I mean, this is another quote from a comedian. Like, Thanksgiving is like a rapist going, yeah, this was nice. It's like, let's just not focus on the raping. Let's just focus on this nice moment we're having. It's like, I don't get that shit though. But like, there's racism all over the world. South Africa, apartheid. I think everybody should go read Kafir Boy, which is a story about a black boy who was in apartheid South Africa. Very good book. But people need to stop thinking that they're better than one race because of what they look like. I mean, look at the Nazis. They said that the Jews were under them. That blue-eyed, blonde-haired people were the elite. But if you look at the leader of that movement, he had black hair and that fucking mustache, and he was an asshole. And then people said that he was easily led, and he misinterpreted Nietzsche's work. Fuck you. Nobody can misinterpret a work and then go on a fucking 6 million killing spree for no fucking reason. But, I mean, that's beside the fucking point of the point I'm trying to make. The point is, whoever says freedom and love and equality for everybody is gonna wind up getting shot. It's an inevitability because there's more racist people than there are people who are actually enlightened enough to know that there's no one good race. There's no one many. Everybody is the same. Everybody has the same bit in life as everybody else. And here's a question to the racist people who might watch this video. What if you were born into a subjugated race? How the fuck would you feel if people said that you were inferior to another race because of the color of your skin, the makeup of your genetics, not by the content of your character? How would you feel if you were put in that same boat as the people that you degrade and you decry and say are worthless and things like that, and you say that the white people are the best? Why don't you put yourself in their shoes? Reverse the tables. Put yourself on their side. Better yet, put your ass in. No, take your situation and think about if you were a white person and white people were seen as inferior in another country. How would you feel? How would you feel? See, I don't get racism. I never got it. I never will. How can you hate someone because of the color of their skin? You can be any color and be an asshole. But if you're a nice person, there is no color for that. You can be a black nice person. You can be any color and be a nice person. And being black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian should not have any bearing on whether people see you as a nice person. Now, I want this to be a discussion vid. Now, please, leave the comments respectfully. Don't be this just ignorant fuck, okay? Don't just be this weird, crazy fuck who's just like, oh, white people are better, white people are better. At least have some decency and try and formulate that into a cohesive argument. Don't just say that, okay? I hate that. I'm gonna let the comments go for as long as I can, but if it gets really bad, I'm just gonna stop comments being made and remove the comments that are there. I'm RezenatorZen. Peace, love, and harmony from me to you.